These altcoin chart patterns are some of the most bullish patterns I have seen for a very long time across the altcoin market, and they suggest that many altcoins could be on the verge of significant breakouts, especially after a positive result was seen yesterday in the FOMC meeting. We now see Bitcoin pushing higher, and Ethereum on the verge of breaking from this Wyckoff accumulation pattern, a move that would ignite the entire altcoin market like you've probably never seen before. In this video, I'm going to show you this key chart pattern, because if you can understand this pattern, you're going to be able to find winning trade after winning trade across the altcoin market and be positioned in time to catch some of the biggest growth from now towards the end of this bull market. Do me a favor, hit the like button, and let's go find out what's going on. Now guys, before we dive in and find out about which altcoins are on the verge of significant breakouts and why yesterday's FOMC result was actually quite positive, just a quick disclaimer. Nothing I say in this video is financial advice. Everything I say is for entertainment purposes only. If you wish to invest in crypto, you should understand that it's risky and you can lose money. So don't use money that you can't afford to lose, and always do your own research before investing in anything. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's crack on with it. Now guys, why do I say that yesterday's FOMC result was pretty bullish, despite the fact that it wasn't anything that many of us didn't really expect to happen? Well, because actually the results that we saw in terms of the reaction to the news was pretty good. Okay, many people thought if we saw a 0.25 basis point cut that we would come down, because that's obviously been getting priced into the market for quite some time. Yet, lo and behold, the market's pushed it a little bit higher, and that tells me something very key has been happening. If we jump across to the Wall Street cheat sheet, and yes, I am going to wheel this one out again, you can understand a little bit more about the sentiment in the market right now and what it kind of represents in terms of where we are. Do you feel like you're euphoric right now? You're probably feeling fairly indifferent. You're pretty happy that some of your altcoins have been going up, but many of your alts have been staying a bit flat. You're probably fairly happy that crypto in general is starting to look a little bit better. And that to me tells me that you're no longer depressed. You're no longer probably in disbelief. You're starting to realize that maybe, just maybe, we are in a crypto bull market. And that means that maybe you have hope that there's going to be a bit of a recovery for some of the altcoins that you bought at the top back in December. Or perhaps you're starting to feel more and more confident because you've been subscribed to the HouseOfCrypto and you've been buying into coins like WorldCoin and Aether and others that have been absolutely booming over the last few weeks. You're starting to understand that this is a real bull market, and that tells you that this still lies ahead. Belief. Time to get fully invested. The thrill, I want to buy more and tell everyone about it. Euphoria, I'm a genius, we're all going to be rich, and then you'll get rugged by everyone else. But that still lies ahead. That's not here yet, and that's good for us, because if we can identify projects that are still sat in the hope area or even in the disbelief, then we have a very good chance of succeeding. And if we jump across to Bitcoin, you can see that the result yesterday was positive. You can see that Bitcoin has been pushing up a little bit more. It doesn't mean that Bitcoin couldn't potentially see a bit more of a sell-off. On the daily chart right now, I am paying key attention to the fact that on the 23rd, 22nd of September, the M2 money supply does tend to take a little bit of a dip down. Will that mean that crypto goes sideways for another month or so more? I'm not really too concerned about that, because many altcoins sit near enough lows. And if they sit near enough lows and we can identify the key chart patterns that I'm about to show you, then it tells us that we're getting in near enough at the bottom and ready for the following M2 rally. And also, because we're now getting rate cuts, guess what? M2 will start to go more and more vertical. There's going to be more rate cuts coming in later on in the year. That's going to continue to add more liquidity, more money into the global system, not just in the United States, but globally. And it's that money that finds its way into USDT, which you can see has just been going straight up for like ever. And that money eventually finds its way into crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other assets. Another thing to note from yesterday's FOMC result is that gold did put in a big old red candle. I'll be very interested to see whether or not gold continues lower. This is a very good indicator that institutional money is going to go away from risk-off assets like gold to move towards crypto. Remember, gold does really well when crypto markets don't tend to do so well. And if this starts to sell off, that could mean that there is a shift going on. Gold goes up, altcoins tend to go down, gold goes down, altcoins tend to go up. And for those of you who've been in crypto or trading for a while, you probably know what a Wyckoff accumulation or distribution schematic looks like. This is a Wyckoff reaccumulation schematic on the Ethereum chart using a 3-day chart. Now, as you can see, we are currently in the SOS phase. What's the SOS phase? Well, it's the final phase before we move into phase E, which is ultimately the next leg up. As you can see, we've been shaking around in this area a little bit. It doesn't mean that we can't continue to shake here for another week, maybe two, but who knows? This could just rally towards the upside at any moment, and I don't want to be sidelined. I want to be positioned correctly to catch that move. And this is the key to understanding exactly what we're about to see happen across the altcoins. It is the others versus Bitcoin chart. Now, in the last few weeks, we've seen Solana, XRP, Ethereum, and other larger cap altcoins performing pretty strongly, right? You can see this is Solana, this is XRP, okay? Ethereum had a crazy run. Things are looking pretty good. But many altcoins outside of the top 10, aka the others, are lagging behind. You see, this was the all-time high for the others back in December. Meanwhile, the total 3, which is crypto market minus Bitcoin and Ethereum, is now cracking into all-time high territory. That tells you that the coins outside top 10 are lagging behind, and you, like me, are probably holding a lot of coins outside of the top 10. So by understanding this pattern on the others versus Bitcoin chart, you're going to have a great understanding of which altcoins are showing very similar patterns. You see, this is very typical of a pattern that we see after a decline. We go down, and then we round off. We then break the neckline, and we come back to retest. You see, this is basically a very standard pattern that many altcoins follow. Now, if you go to Dogecoin and we go back to various different times in the life cycle of this coin, you can see that it had the same. It pulls back, it rounds off back in 2024, okay, it breaks, it retests, and then it goes for a run. And if you go back in time before that, you can see that it does the similar thing here, okay, it rounds off, it breaks, it retests, it goes for a run. In this case, it did come back, but still gave some good gains to those of people who caught the move there. Now, some of the larger cap coins that are sitting inside the top 10 are showing similar patterns. This is Cardano. Here, you can see, has the decline, rounded base, and is now messing around in and around this neckline, which tells you what the next move looks like. Okay, this is Sui. Sui has basically started to create a similar kind of rounded base, but obviously much stronger than many of the other small cap coins. It hasn't even made it up to this point here, but I expect that to happen pretty soon. Say, again, has been kind of ahead of the game here. It's rounded off. It's now created this kind of retest pattern. And in fact, this symmetrical triangle is incredibly strong. I would expect to see Say breaking higher. These are all layer ones, right? But actually, I want to find coins slightly smaller market cap that are showing the same pattern that Doge has been showing here, because then you can catch winners. We actually use this, and if you were subscribed to the House of Crypto way back in kind of June time, which does feel like quite a long time ago because crypto moves kind of slowly and we get a bit glued in, then you might have caught this move where we know that Pengu broke out of this key zone and then retested and went on. So what are we showing here? What can we really see? You see decline, okay? Price declines because people sell off. You then see price returns to strength. It creates a resistance area. It doesn't just break higher. Typically, it will break to resistance. It comes back down. It gets through that resistance, and once it goes through resistance, it comes back to retest. Now, almost every single altcoin, well-known altcoin right now, is showing this pattern. Okay, I don't want to leave you at the end of this video being like, oh, can you go and take a look at the Avalanche token or XRP? I'm going to show you so you can understand this pattern, because if you understand this pattern and you go to tradingview.com, which is free, which is this website I use all the time, then you're going to be able to find it for yourself. You're going to understand for yourself where these accumulation zones are. And guess what? If you buy into the market and we get a little bit more chop over the next week or two, you don't care, because you've seen this chart pattern play out, you've back tested it, and now you're going to have confidence in these chart patterns. I'm going to show you a variety of different coins. No favorites, okay? Different narratives, different coins. Ondo Finance, very popular coin with all the real world asset enthusiasts out there. Again, what do we get? We get the decline. Guess what? We then get this pattern where you have a simple neckline, okay, and then a rough rounded base. Now you may notice, okay, I can't really draw, but these patterns look a little bit dissimilar in terms of what you see down here. But ultimately, all we're really looking for is the fact that the price has been going down and is then going to go sideways and then is then going to go back up. Okay, what is this simply telling us? It means that the people who are selling, there's no more of them. Okay, there's less people selling now. We then start to get people who want to buy in and around this zone. They keep buying. There's no sellers. The buyers increase. The price goes up. And eventually it breaks beyond here. Okay, and at that point, all of the people who've been going short and pushing the price down get liquidated. Price goes into this new zone very quickly. Okay, you can see this happen before for Ondo here. Rounded base, back up. You see? Very straightforward. That's a real-world asset token. And yes, in the future, I will go into more depth on real-world assets. In fact, tomorrow, make sure you're subscribed. I'm going to make a video on DeepIn projects, because DeepIn appears to be the narrative that is picking up the most steam right now. Probably because of projects like WorldCoin, which is now printing a very similar pattern to what we've been talking about. Okay, but in general, things are looking pretty damn good for DeepIn. So if you want to catch that DeepIn video and go and find out more about certain DeepIn projects that I've got under the radar right now, make sure you're subscribed. Now, let's continue with this chart pattern and show you that it exists across all different narratives, okay? Different time zones, whatever. This is Borg token, okay? From Swissborg, right? You can see you have rounded base. What do we see? Decline. Rounded base, accumulation finishes once it breaks here, retests, and it sends. Okay, this happens 99% of the time. Now, sometimes it might get rejected like it did here, and here you can see it took a little bit more time. But given where the market is moving, given that we're now starting to get rate cuts, given that we are now going more and more risk on, and yes, it's going to take a little bit longer, that's okay, then we know that we want to be buying somewhere in and around accumulation. The problem is, for many people, is that most people buy during kind of like peak hype and excitement phase when the Wall Street cheat sheet's up in like thrill and euphoria and belief. But ultimately, you want to buy when everyone's depressed and angry, but we've kind of gone past that point now. Now we're sort of starting to get into the hope and optimism phase. In my opinion, this is probably the last few weeks that I'm going to be adding new money to crypto. After that, I'm just going to be rotating within different assets, okay? At the moment, I'm still happy to add because I still think there's good opportunity, but ultimately after that, I'm going to just stick, rotate, and then eventually start to pull money out. Now, guys, if you're enjoying learning about trading patterns and understanding a little bit more about what's happening in the market and you want to educate yourself more, then make sure you join the free WEEX Telegram group down below. Over there is full-time traders in there, professional traders who are going to be able to help you out to answer your questions around trading and also look at different chart patterns and things you're looking at. So if you're down to start getting into trading more and more and up your game as this bull market progresses, make sure you join that link. All you need to do to access that group is sign up for a WEEX account, which is a non-KYC exchange, and deposit just $50. That $50 you can use to buy different cryptos or whatever like that. It's basically your money, but that's going to give you access to that trading group. Now, what else have we got? Here, World Mobile Token, DeepIn, okay? And I'm just showing you this because Borg was a DEX token, kind of DeFi token. World Mobile Token is a DeepIn token, okay? Real world assets, Ondo was, right? Now you can see the rounded base. You can go down here, you can select the arc, and I can go across, I can draw the line, and I can see right here that I have my accumulation pattern. Now you can see that in the last day or two, World Mobile Token came down hard, and it sort of retested in this area. And I'm expecting it to break up here. Now, the old question that everyone will ask me is, maybe it will come down lower. Do you think I can get in at a better price on World Mobile Token? Yeah, but you didn't want to get in when it was at the best price back here. And you're only asking that question because suddenly it's been one of the better performers. Now, if we go back in history and we look at like a chart pattern like this, would this have been a good time to get into World Mobile Token? Ask yourself that question. It obviously would have been better to get in here, but you wouldn't have done. The chances of getting in here are far better, but you don't necessarily get the best price for it, but it's still a damn good price to be getting in. Right now, you can see that this is probably a damn good price to be getting in. Obviously, you need to go away and find out more about these projects. But what I'm saying here and what I'm teaching you in this video, before I start to introduce more projects over the next kind of week or 2 weeks, where I'm going to look at real-world assets, DeepIn, DeFi, gaming, all sorts of different ones, is to really understand the background of this. Understand what I'm looking at in terms of the structure of the charts, okay? Because a lot of charts are showing a very easy pattern to read right now. This is peak. This is a DeepIn project. You can see that it's been going down. It goes and it creates what? It creates a area of resistance, a rounded base where we go from selling into not selling or not buying into buying. We go up, we come back to retest, previous resistance becomes support, and then you start to see it moving higher. How high can it go? Potentially, it can move back up to these highs if the market gets greedy enough. It's a pretty strong project. It's just seen a bit of selling off. And there's so many projects doing this right now. This is Avalanche, a layer one. Okay, one of the best known projects across crypto. Let's draw the picture, shall we? We can see it. Okay, now you will notice that many of these are at different stages throughout this kind of breakout process. This is the fall down. Some projects, the smaller caps, are still in this area where they look a bit uncertain, a bit scary. I get that. Okay, you don't have to necessarily be holding all the ones that have already come back up here. And actually, once they start to get up here, you've now got a higher chance that you might see a bit of a pullback in that sort of short-term area. Really, the best time to be getting into coins, because it's giving you the highest conviction, is around here. Now, if you've got more confidence and more researchability and whatever in understanding what's going on behind the scenes, you can get in right down here. But it takes some balls to be able to get into those, because ultimately, to many people, it looks kind of dead, not interesting. Then it comes alive again and everyone gets excited. WorldCoin, you can see, same pattern, looks great. Okay, comes back to retest. It had some incredibly bullish news the other day by getting a digital asset treasury that allowed other companies outside of crypto to start using investors' funds to start buying into crypto. So Michael Saylor does this with MicroStrategy to buy Bitcoin. There's another company, I believe 8Co, who came in the other day and said that they were going to start doing this with WorldCoin. So all of the money that they're basically using and earning through stocks and things like that, or some of the money at least, is going towards buying WorldCoin. Pretty bullish, right? That means that we could see a lot of excitement. There's other ones as well. IMX, gaming token. Look at the pattern. Okay, this is not even looking in to what these projects do or anything like that. Obviously, you need to add that on top of things. And if you're subscribed over time, we're going to start to do that, right? So you can see, rounded off, starts to look good again. Now, if it comes down for another leg into here, so be it. But at least by knowing that you're in down here, you're somewhere in at the right point. And this is what I was talking about for weeks and weeks with Aether, right? People were like, oh, Aether looks like it's doing really badly. It was down in and around this zone. It came back up. It then did this again. And people were like, oh, I hate this project. It's no good, blah, blah, blah. And I said, like, fundamentally behind the scenes, this is a strong project. They're making tons of money. They have the potential to maybe move into that kind of WorldCoin kind of area of treasury companies and things like that. I really don't know. Who knows? Okay, but right now you can see the neckline here has been broken for Aether. Has it come back to retest? Maybe. Somewhere in here, maybe there was some sort of a retest, but ultimately, you know, it's been chopping around here. Do I think that this goes higher? Absolutely. But in and around here, no one had any interest. What I've just shown you is other coins that might suggest they're kind of earlier on in this pattern. Okay, this is such an easy thing to see. And, you know, guys, you go and pull up charts and you go and see how many of these are showing. Okay, because these reaccumulation patterns, they happen every time. You don't have to worry about whether or not it's going to break up today or tomorrow. All you're simply identifying is selling is over, buying starts to come in, selling sort of slows down, buying increases, okay, without sellers. Market continues towards the upside, same happens again. You get the picture. Okay, that's all your job is. If you were buying down in and around these, you would never get the stress and fear that you get from buying into these. That's what most people's problem is in crypto. That's why many people are saying it's been really hard over the last few years. And yes, it has been really hard, but it's increasingly hard if you do the wrong things. And if you end up buying and aping in when euphoria and thrill and excitement are in the markets, you're always going to see a lot of pain after. You see a lot less pain, in my opinion, and in like logic, when you buy in when people are still a little bit not really sure. I think maybe people are starting to become a little bit more optimistic. Let me know down below. Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Do you think I'm chatting rubbish? Let me know. Okay, happy to hear it. Happy to understand where you're going. Also, let me know which deep in projects I need to be paying attention to be talking about on my videos tomorrow. Now, guys, if you are wishing to pick up any different altcoins, like World Mobile Token, like Ondo, like Aether, like any of the ones I already talked about today, then make sure you check out either WEEX or Bitunix. These two exchanges are listed down below. Now, they are affiliate links. I will make a small commission should you sign up for that, but that doesn't come away from your own investment at all. In fact, by having that affiliate deal, I've managed to get some of the best bonuses across crypto for you for those particular exchanges. Now, those different exchanges do not require KYC. So if you travel a lot around the world like me, it can be much easier to access different cryptos. Also, you're not going to be able to find some of the smaller cap coins on Binance, Coinbase, or anything like that, because it's very difficult for these coins to get onto those exchanges. It costs a lot of money. So, if you want to be able to buy small cap coin, mid cap coins that I'm going to be talking about in the coming weeks ahead, make sure you've got an account for Bitunix and WEEX so that you can access those coins as soon as possible. Because once the market starts to go into thrill, euphoria, and greed, I'm going to talk about crypto coins, and I guarantee that pretty much everybody out there is going to be aping into everything, and it will push prices, so make sure you're in nice and early. Guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video and found it useful. Do me a favor. Please smash up that like button. It doesn't take a second, really helps me out. And leave a comment down below whether you've got anything to say or not. Just leave a full stop. Really helps me out as well. Thanks for watching. Have a great week, and I'll see you very soon in another video.